Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Frankie Corrado, now up on TSN 2, of course on TSN 1050, your home smart speaker. We got a big hour. We're playing arbitration later this hour. Always fun to play arbitration. We love it, right, Frankie?
Oh, yeah. Love it.
You've been a big part of that in the past.
Yeah, it brings back flashbacks of going through, well, didn't get into the meeting, but the lead up to the meeting. So I appreciate every time you have me on the show that we do arbitration. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and O's coming up in a moment. O's one of the very few players who actually went through arbitration.
Is he still the only player that Jim Rutherford took to arbitration?
As far as I know.
That's outstanding.
I don't think there was anyone that I can think of beyond that in Carolina and Pittsburgh and Vancouver.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think Rutherford just decided this guy we have to take to arbitration.
We are making an example out of this guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to. And obviously, O has detailed that experience many times in the past, that it was not fun, that it's business at that point, and it's kind of ruthless.
Business for both sides. And you think about it, too, from a player's point of view. You're talking about the organization or the franchise just having to shell out a tiny little bit more in comparison to what they have. And then from a player's point of view, it's like, this could be 25% more for me. Like, it's way more for a player than it is for an organization. But they're so tight on it.
If the Leafs had the option, do you think they'd roll the dice on arbitration with Matthews and Nylander?
After a 40-goal year for Matthews?
Right.
Probably.
And let's say it could be a long-term deal, not just a 1 or 2 year. Like, you could go into arbitration and win the case. They could argue, we want 8 years at $12.7 million per.
Yeah.
He comes in at, I want 3 years at 14.5, and the arbitrator's got to pick one or the other. Do you think they'd roll the dice on that?
I think the Leafs would have a stronger case coming off this past season.
Yeah.
But the 60-goal year, I don't think they want to go to arb. Not on the 60 goals. The 40-goal year, they'll go.
Might just want to get it over with, and basically be able to say, listen, if it gets to a point where this guy is priced at such a crazy tag, blame the arbitrator, not us.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I think the Leafs would take it both ways with Matthews and with Nylander. I don't know if they do with Nylander, because I don't know if they'd want to be stuck if they really lost with Willie. Like, let's say Willie came in and said, I want 11.25, and the arbitrator's like, yeah. You got it. You have 40 goals and 80 points.
Leafs would have to go in at $7.25 million, basically. Right. And then you're hoping you meet at 9.5, which is where they should meet anyways. But they're not there.
Yeah. It's funny how, 9.5 has now become, it felt like a month and a half ago, it was 9 tops for Willie.
I said 9.5, right?
You've always been consistent.
That was the highest I'm willing to go. Penny more, and I'm probably walking away.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I look at Aho at 9.75. I look at what Timo Meier signed for, which was in the 8s.
Yeah, 8.8.
Yes. Yeah. Willie is, I think, maybe somewhere in between those two. So
maybe you're 9.25.
Right.
We're in the ballpark.
You're in the ballpark, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think if the Leafs could, they'd activate that. Go to arbitration with Matthews and just be done with it. And just hope the arbitrator looks at their case or meets in the middle in some capacity and goes, fine, it's 6 years, $13 million. Done.
What's their case? What would their case, how do they plead their case about, knocking down the value of their star player, their franchise player, the best player probably who has ever played for the team, and trying to build a case about, but he's not good at this, and we don't like him in that, That
would be
so tough.
Pretty difficult thing to do. I guess you'd have to hammer playoffs, but I'm not sure that comes up with arbitration because it's a regular season price.
Yeah, I don't know if you get into playoffs. I think you can try to muddy the waters with things like that, but an arbitrator is going to look at it and say, well, this is not admissible.
You'd be deep in the muck at that point, but you'd have to, and you'd have to be saying, listen, playoffs, 41 goals, playoffs. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be comfortable.
No.
But it might be easier.
Yeah, only in Toronto could we hypothetically be talking about two of the star players on the team.
You'd prefer arbitration.
Would you prefer
because it would be less painful.
Yeah.
Joining us now on the Maple Toyota Hotline, a veteran of the arbitration. Here's the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. Mr. Arb himself. What is happening?
My two amigos, how are we doing, you guys?
Oh, there he is. Looking good, feeling good.
Let's go.
Wow, I didn't see this one coming. I didn't see this one coming. How are we doing?
You should have seen this routine yesterday. I pull up to Coppenwood, and right away, someone comes and greets me in the parking lot. Hey, Hazy B this, Hazy B that. What's it like working with Hazy B? He was here yesterday.
The captain.
Oh, man.
I've been around.
It's
I've been
everywhere.
around.
You're lucky you said that and you didn't say you were teeing it with Hazy B. Or did you?
No, I got invited out by
the,
someone else, not Hazy B. What do you think about that?
Treatment. He got the Duthie treatment. Duthie loves bringing people out there.
You know what? You know who the one guy he does not love? Me. I've taken that guy to Weston probably 5 times, and then apparently he lives at King's Riding or in close proximity. He's always bringing people out to Coppenwood. You know who's the one guy he never does? Me.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't talk we don't talk people at TSN during the summer. It's like, take a break, do your own thing. Duthie called me one time, a FaceTime. He was in his underpants flossing his teeth in his bathroom. And for me to say, this is offside and I'm uncomfortable, that was something.
Yeah.
Flossing his teeth in his underpants.
That's uncalled for. That's the arbitration case of FaceTiming. Like, that's uncomfortable for everyone.
It is.
No one wants to be a part of it.
Yeah, and he just had to tell me something about a golf shot or something that was on TV, and I said, why are you flossing your teeth while talking to me? I don't like it. And he's just like, don't worry about it. It was a weird vibe.
Yeah. Well, I haven't heard how Duthie shot yesterday. Was he slapping it around, or was he in a good...
Duthie had his whole routine going. Like, he hits a high ball off the tee. But
yes, he does.
I loved this experience where he's got the watch on and he's talking through everything. So I'm 117 to the front, and then the wind, he picks up the grass. Like, the wind is just a little bit right to left.
It's
probably got to hit a 130. 128 shot here. Okay, I'm good.
He really gets in the zone. I'll give him credit.
Or you know how
I'll tell you what he has. He's got the best practice swing of any guy on earth that plays golf. He is like Ernie Els in his prime, and then he just gets over it. And mental demons start creeping in. It's bad news.
The mental demons is a great point because and Hayes, you'll know this well. We're on the 9th hole at Coppenwood, and he's the green side. He missed the green to the right, and he's in the rough.
Yep.
And he brought 4 clubs with him to hit this shot.
Man, that's impossible.
And it's not like, I don't think he had 4 different shots in the bag that that were like his bread and butter. I just think like that's how messed up he is in his head when it comes to golf.
Yeah, that's really difficult to do because, like, I think the pin was back left. You got a lot of green to work with. It's not a crazy play out of there. It's grab a sandwich and hit one up close. Not 4 clubs. That's crazy. Well, hey, listen, what are you going to do?
But shout out JD. Thank you so much, Duthie, for bringing me out.
There you go. Shout out. Thanks for having me.
I love you. Thanks for the game. We had Paul out there. Paul's a beauty.
Paul's
great
a great
hospitality.
Yep,
love Coppenwood.
Mr. Hospitality himself. Yeah, he'll be happy with that shout out.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it could be worse. Duthie could be in a Lucas Glover situation prior to this new putter that he grabbed. I was reading today that he was contemplating putting left. That's how bad it was for him. I swear I read that. I'm like, this guy was thinking of flipping to a left-handed putter.
Well,
that's how bad his yips were.
You sent me the video of him trying to roll a putt, and he almost missed the ball, and the putt was like a 2-footer, and he hit it like not with the
heel. He hit it with the heel.
No, he almost hit it like on the inside part of the heel.
Dude. Right.
Like not even the face of the putter.
And it was like he was trying to put top spin on it, like it was a tennis shot. You see them like put the top spin. That's what he was doing with the putter.
The bottom line is that guy swallowed his pride, unlike some people I know, and said, I got to go to the broomstick. I want a Bernie Langer, and I'm going to roll in putts. And he won. He won 2 events.
That's right.
And there's amateurs like the guy to your right, Frank, that says, I'm too cool for school.
I'm too vain.
He could be winning the member guest. This guy could be winning the member
Dude,
guest.
A guy just won back-to-back on tour. First FedEx Cup event. Looks like he might roll to the finish, possibly, with the broomstick. And this guy won't get one because he's too vain.
I'm way too vain. Dude, you know my buddies there. If I pulled that out on one green, I would get drop-kicked in the head, rolled down the gully, and I'd be told, you're never playing with us again. Because
no, that's not true.
That's
This guy's on
100%
tour.
true.
And all of his
100%
teachers
true.
said, look, they had an intervention. They said, we got to go to the Bernie Langer. And he just said, okay, I got no other
Good for him.
Dude, do you think we
Good
get
for
an
him.
intervention going here? Like we'll get a hazy bee. We'll
It's
catch
not
him
gonna
by
matter,
surprise.
man.
Hazy
Believe
bee
me.
intervention.
It's not. I'm never using the Bernie Langer. Now that's the Lucas Glover. Langer's out. This is the new Glover. But like we had Mac Hughes on yesterday. Mac said he played with him like last year, a couple of years ago, and he was like, it was so tough to
awkward
watch.
to watch.
He said he missed a 4-footer where he didn't even touch, like didn't even glaze the cup, and had a 12-inch putt coming back. He said he missed that one and didn't touch the cup. He was like, Matt, you got to hear the interview. It was great. Hughes was like, it was so awkward. You wanted to say, hey, it's good, pal, pick it up, but you're on tour. You want to concede a putt to a professional. Like, that's how ugly it was. But
Dude,
the guy's
I first noticed
fire.
there was a problem like a year and a half ago where you're glazing through the Golf Channel and you're turning on a tournament. And I'm telling you, this Lucas Glover had a 3-foot putt. He putted like he had a 60-footer, and it went in. And I was like, I had to rewind it. I'm like, he just rammed that in the back of the hole. And I'm telling you, if this ball didn't go in, it was off the green on the other side.
Right. Yeah, it's awkward. Man.
It was bizarre.
when you
but
lose
the guy's
you lose
won
it.
twice.
Yes, he has. He's made a lot of money. He's fourth in FedEx, like you said. He's coming for a Ryder Cup team. I'd pick him over JT. I got Lucas Glover over Justin Thomas on the Ryder Cup.
There's a sore spot for me.
Be honest. Be honest.
Brian Harmon, Lucas Glover, Keegan Bradley, maybe have a seat over there because going out first every day is Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth as per usual.
You're not doing that.
Dude,
Crazy
you two
talk.
guys, I'm sorry. I hate to say this on a professional show like this. You don't know what you're talking about.
JT's a mess
Listen,
right now. He's
the
a
Ryder
mess.
Cup, the U.S. have been getting dummied by the Europeans for 30 years since I've been watching it or being a golf fan. They finally found a recipe, and although some of these players will not be on the roster because they're with Live Golf, they finally found a recipe to start dummying the Europeans, and you want to start plucking guys off of that. Koepka's not going to be on it. Dustin Johnson's not going to be on it. You've got to put Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth out there first.
Do you think JT is just like one shot away? It's a couple shots in a round, and then like he can put together a good round. You think it's that fine right now, the line for him?
Dude, I have no idea how far away he is, and it's a risky thing for Zach Johnson. If he goes out there and plays terrible, he's going to face the criticism of why on earth did you pick that guy? And I think one of the elements of the Ryder Cup is you want to get guys that are hot coming into it. But I just think Justin Thomas is a special exemption where no matter what, he's on the team and he's playing with Spieth. Every President's Cup and Ryder Cup, him and Spieth go out first as a team and they get the first point of the day. Go ahead and fact check that if you want.
No,
I
they're
would
studs.
say, yeah,
They're studs. I understand
85% of the time they're taking that first point. Why not?
Well, I think the Europeans are going to be ready to rock, man. You got Rahm,
Dude,
you got
you're
McIlroy.
See, you know what?
Rick
There's
Hovland,
another thing. You want to
Ludwig Aberg, my boy. I got him on
After
my
whistling
team.
straights, you said that Ryder Cup team, the next one, they are going to get dummied
Wow.
because there's nobody left. Like
That was before
Sergio's
Liv.
not,
That was before
Sergio's
Liv.
not playing. Lee Westwood's not playing. All those guys are gone now. It's Rory McIlroy and John Rahm and your boy, the lefty, Robert McIntyre.
Yeah, I like Bob McIntyre. I'm a big
you
fan
think,
of
you think that they're going to stack up? They're garbage.
I think Victor Hovland is a big part of this. I think that kid Ludwig Aberg, I'd have him on that team. That kid crushes a golf ball right down the middle.
Aberg.
Right down the middle of the fairway.
Ludwig, you've never seen Ludwig Aberg
I
hit
love
a
him.
shot
He's
in
great.
your life.
He's outstanding. He's the Swedish prince. He's a stud.
Yeah.
Answer the question we just came across, because the Matthews and Nylander stuff still hasn't happened yet.
I thought it was supposed to be wrapped up right after
So did
July
I.
1st.
Everyone was like, "Oh, don't even worry about it. Just relax. It's all good."
Well, the catchphrase with Matthews was, nothing to be concerned about. This one's getting done. And
Right.
it's like, now we're creeping into the middle of August. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, do you? I'm not at a position of concern right now.
You know
on
what I'm
August
concerned
16th.
about is I got to, in 3 weeks, where I got to come back in there, and that's all we're going to talk about.
Well,
for
that's
3
it.
hours.
Like, this guy shows up day one at camp without a contract. It's going to be, what the hell's happening? Like at some point, both parties, the Leafs and Matthews, cannot continue to say, "Oh no, it's all good. We'll figure it out." They very well could, right? And they've done a good job, I think, of the messaging and calming the masses and saying, there's no panic, and there shouldn't necessarily be panic, but you're dealing with a fan base that's incredibly volatile and sensitive.
Kidding.
And a country that has seen, American-born players recently say, I don't know about this. And
well, the guys I golf with,
give.
Bryan, what their fear is, and this comes up about the third hole every time. It's like, you know what he's doing? He showed good faith by the end of the season. He said, this is where I want to be, and I want to stay here, and I want to sign here. And now they're saying that he got that off his chest, and the fans are like, okay, he likes Toronto. Yeah. And now he can just say, the contract never worked out. He's going to do the old John Tavares where it's business, and it's business as usual. And then he turns into ninja dust and disappears after the season. That's what that's what the guys that I talk to are scared of.
I'm with you. That's what they're scared of. It's not that they're predicting it right now, but they're scared of, that Matthews and his camp, I guess, have played the perfect playbook to keep people off your back to eventually maybe he's already decided, actually, I'm going somewhere else. And, the Leafs are the ones that need to be at the poker table understanding exactly what cards everyone is holding. Like, it's got to be the Leafs that know. Not that they're going to flip him or anything. That's not happening now. And even a Nylander situation, like, you guys know how the NHL works with a hard cap system. Once the job's done by, like, July 15th, teams are like, we're done. Like, could you possibly make a deal if you wanted to? I guess. But the idea of coming off desperate in September when camps are opening, I don't see that happening. Like, I really don't.
Even with the Matthews thing, it could be one of those things where we're not going to announce this in August, and then everyone's got to head down to the arena, and we got to do the press conference. Everyone's going to be there September 15th or whenever camp opens. We'll do it then. Right? But as far as the whole, if you were going to do the Tavares New York Islanders playbook goes, and even if you play it perfectly, remember that welcome home for Tavares on Long Island? That was one of the most volatile. It's happening regardless, whether you play the playbook right or not.
Sure.
If you start training camp with no contract, that basically means you're leaving, I think. Just like Tavares, as soon as he didn't sign at the beginning of the season, I was like, that guy's gone. He's not. And he kept saying, this is business, and this is for my agent to work out. That's code for I'm not coming back. That's what I take from. That's what I took from the Tavares situation.
I agree with you. I agree with you. If I might go beyond possibly the first day of camp, but once you're into the first game of the season, you've had all summer where you have the team wants to sign you, like they're dying to sign you. Right?
Of course.
They may not be comfortable with the terms, but I think the Leafs they'll probably accept what they're going to be. It's probably up to the player to be the one that is willing to dictate what the price is going to be, right? There's got to be a limit. The Leafs can't say, here's 20% of they're not going to give him 20% of the cap. But, if he wants 14 for 3 or 4 years, they probably just give it to him on day one of the camp. They probably say, fine, we'll chew on it, we'll eat it. It is what it is. We'll explain it. We'll move on.
Hayes, I got to tell you, I'm kind of jumping on your side and the Mike Johnson, and I would happy to have Mike Johnson on this program and also jump on with him to discuss this with you. It's like all these other guys, it's like 8 years. I'm happy to be here. I'm a Kane. I know he did have the previous situation with Montreal with the offer sheet, but it's like 8 years. And then all of a sudden, from the Matthews camp, it's like, got to get creative because there's another deal. It's just like, why is that the case with him?
Well,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. And that appears to be what is also consistent throughout the messaging. Is prepare for 3 to 5 years.
I do also understand that you got one career and you design it how you want. You can curb your contracts and you don't have, when you're in the position where you're a megastar like him in this situation, you could do whatever the hell you want. But I would find it frustrating how it's like all the other 8 years, let's do it. I like it here. Well, if you like it here, how come you're not doing that? And this is the only market and the only player we're talking about.
Well, and you know what? You just bring that up, and I'm thinking here, spitballing. There's a chance that the Leafs are the ones holding this up, that they're trying to convince him to change his mind on that, right? That Matthews has said, I'll sign right now for 3 years or 4 years, whatever the price is. Is it 13? I'll do it right now. And it's the Leafs buying their time trying to convince him to come off that, right? Like, I think most people have looked at it, myself included, it's more Matthews is the one saying, this is how it's going to play out, and this I'm going to do it on my timeline, and I'm going to do this, that, or the other. There is a double-sided coin here. There is another party involved, and it's the Leafs. And, there is a chance that could be what's happening here. Matthews has said, I'll sign this whenever you want. 3, 4, 5 years at this price. Take it or leave it right now. And the Leafs are the ones saying, wait, can we meet up again? Can we try to convince you for 6+ years? Can we try to convince you to do this, that, or the other?
How old is he? 26 right now?
Yeah, he's mid-20s. Yeah.
So, I mean, the other way to look at it is if you're just monitoring the situation or you're a fan of the Leafs is how many guys are you dying for? Regardless of, just the popularity of the jersey or the goals and the production, how many guys are you dying for on your roster or to pay big money after the age of 30?
Well, not many, man.
Yeah.
Like
it falls off a cliff.
Yeah, less than a handful.
Other than Sidney Crosby and a couple of other guys that are just still clipping away and producing. How many guys out there do you see? I mean, if you look at John Tavares, he was 32 when he signed here?
Well, he's 32 now.
Oh, he's 32 now, yeah. So they got good production out of him. You're looking at that. Like, how many guys are you dying for after the age of 30? Should you just take the 3 to 4 years and say thanks a lot for your time?
Well, I mean, they might be forced into that. They will be able to reason with that, I think, depending on what the price tag is, the cap hit annually. Because he's got another year at $11.6 million. Like, that's already built in. They know what he's going to be paid and what he's getting this year. And to your point, if it's a 4-year extension or 5-year, that's still another 5 or 6 years of Matthews in his prime. And you're getting him into his third. You're getting the best 12, 13 years of his career.
Yeah. The problem is you got to re-up when he's 31. And then when he looks at that, he says, all right, now I'm ready to do an 8-year deal. Bring me to 38. And by the way, cap went up, percentage of the cap went up.
Yes.
So I was making $14 million. I think now market value is probably 15 something. That's when you look at it, you're like,
I don't
can't
care.
do
I'd
it
be
for 8
walking
years.
away. Yeah,
Can't do it for 8 years.
Yeah, and you very well could. Then the power may swing to the other side where they say, sorry, man, handshake, we love you, it's awesome, your number's going to be retired, but we're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to stomach that.
Unique player, though, because he does hold the cards in this situation. And I don't know if the Leafs are willing to call I don't think they're willing to call his bluff. If he says it's going to be 4 or 5 years and it's not going to be 6, 7, 8, then you're doing it. You got to chew on it. You have no other choice.
I just wish we were talking about a reloaded roster, which there are some good players coming in, and they've added sandpaper. Why it didn't happen sooner is beyond me, but they've kind of come to the fact that they needed some different guys. But just the fact that we're going into training camp and this is going to take up all the oxygen, it's going to be going to be 3 hours a day of what's going. It's going to be the lockout version of Matthews Nylander contract every day.
No,
that's what it's going to be.
And I think they lead the league this year in pending UFAs. Like, this team could look very, very different. And that could be a positive thing, too, because, like you just talked about, like adding that sandpaper and why it didn't happen sooner, the complexion of the team can look very, very different come next year and the year after. There's a lot of players coming off that roster.
Well, and buckle up, because this time next year, Marner and Tavares will be a year out. So get ready for it. It's going to be the next 2 years of – it feels like we barely got over the last wave. And that's really hindsight being 2020, and everyone knew it at the time, was the ridiculousness of a 5-year deal and multiple 6-year deals. Is what, like, the Leafs should be in a situation where they know that Matthews is being paid $11.6 million for the next 4 years. That's what they needed. 4 years of that. If he signed the 8-year deal as opposed to the 5-year deal, then you'd be talking cap explosion, roster turnover, and a massive, massive discount on a great player. And because of COVID, they never discovered that. And because of shorter terms, these are self-inflicted wounds.
Let me ask you this, though.
And that's where they're at.
There's always the criticism here that this group can't win and can't get past the first round, whatever the case may be. Now those contracts are going to expire. Mm-hmm. Like, don't you think people look at that and say, like, well, this group can't win anyway, so why are we getting all worked up about this?
I heard you guys talking about arbitration. It's like, in arbitration, there was some talk of playoffs. Like, I think the Hurricanes said of all the playoffs they've ever seen, I was the worst performer in the playoffs they'd ever seen. But that's a side story. That's a different story. Mm-hmm. And like these guys are putting up the numbers to warrant the money. It's just like when you big picture break it down, it's like these guys are demanding all this money. They're fantastic talents. They're fantastic players. All of them together have won one playoff round in 6 years.
Yeah, it's wild.
And we lose our minds about it.
And it's still like if you showed some arbitrator, look at this numbers. This guy scored 50 goals, 60 goals, blah, blah, blah. He'd be like, that guy's a $15 million player. Mm-hmm. And not one word of the playoffs would pop up.
Well, I think what makes this uncomfortable for Leaf fans, the majority of them is I think a lot of Leaf fans want to see this thing changed. They just don't want it to be Matthews being the one that's changing, right? It's like you envision this team with different players leaving, but not the big dog.
Yeah.
And there's also, let's be honest up here, there's a sensitivity issue. There's about does he want to stay? He's American. Is he going to be up here? Is he comfortable up here? All that kind of stuff factors in too. It's steeped into the whole psyche.
Yeah.
And
dude, Aaron Judge, he signed with the Yankees.
Yep.
He committed there long term. Like this is the Yankees of the NHL. Auston Matthews, you can make a comparison. That is the Aaron Judge, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, but he sniffed though.
Yeah,
he was sniffing.
There was sniffing.
Oh,
for sure.
he had his nose up in San Francisco's airport.
Yeah.
Any money around here?
There was some money out there.
Yes, there was.
And he found more in New York. And now they're 60-60, and they're probably not going to the playoffs. So take that for what it's worth.
Dude, they suck, man.
They're brutal.
They're brutal.
Yankees
Cashman
stink.
and Boone, like they're gonna get canned.
Dude, Boone's turned into a sideshow act. Like out there painting the home plate with his finger. What's he doing?
I can't believe he was brought back after all the ups and downs, and then although they did make the playoffs, but they like sneak in, and there's just massive problems and massive losing streaks. I can't believe he was brought back.
No,
and you can almost say the same for Cashman.
They're a sideshow. Like they're rolling through Atlanta. And they're just getting pumped.
Oh,
Like pumped. And there's no concern about the Yankees. It's amazing. The Jays. You're looking at Baltimore, Tampa, Boston, Houston, Seattle, New York. It's like no, not even remotely concerned.
I'll tell you. You look
about
at that
the
team
Yankees.
up top, Hayes, and you or I or Frank DeChambeau, none of us would have put that money with the start that Tampa Bay had. For Baltimore to leapfrog them, that's insane.
Yes.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
With the
man.
budget they have too, it's outrageous.
Yeah.
What they've
Just
built.
young
there.
studs that don't know any better.
Dude, I'll
And
tell
that's
you what,
sustainable.
but we kicked Baltimore right in the junk for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever assembled those young players and draft picks, I mean, you can't really dream up a better kind of rebuild than that. I know Houston's kind of the staple because they were garbage for years, and then all of a sudden they won a couple world championships. But that Baltimore team, they're good, man.
Yeah.
They just beat you.
It was scorched earth, man. That's what it was. They were pathetic.
They were horrible.
Pathetic. Just like Houston was pathetic, and then yet it worked out in the end really, really well. All right, buddy. We'll leave it there. Great seeing you. Good
Maybe
having you
Hazy
on.
B will take us out for a round at Coppenwood.
Yeah, the invite's always there. You guys know the invite's always available. Whenever
What's
you
the
guys want
next
to tee it.
segment? Is
We're
it
playing arbitration next. We're playing
Want me to
arbitration.
stick around and play?
You want to play ARB?
Let's
you
go!
gotta stick around. The O-Dog sticking around. Arbitration with the O-Dog. We'll do that next.
Now, is that going to be a problem?
Yeah, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem for them. It's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
OverDrive Arbitration.
I've been wanting a piece of them for years.
You think we got a case?
Your face is my case.
Big development this hour. The O-Dog sticking around. We haven't played arbitration in a long time. We've been talking about arbitration this hour, and we figured this is a perfect segue. Right? Perfect segue.
How does this segment work again? You might have to give me a little refresher.
Okay, little refresher. So I am going to present the three of us, I guess, with a scenario here where either a player or a team, maybe a fan base, they walk into arbitration and the arbitrator hands them a verdict based on the situation at hand. And then I guess we play the role of either that person or you can play the role of yourself. And would you take that deal or leave it?
We
All
just
right?
basically say if it's garbage or not.
Yeah, and effectively the way you got to think of it is if we leave it, you're rolling the dice that you can do better than that. All right, that's basically the gist of it. All right.
Oh, you want to go first on these?
Yeah, but
I
first
think
of all,
that's
I
the way
have
to
to
go.
tell you something that I had to do in arbitration that I didn't really love doing. I had to sewer every goalie that I played with
Really?
because they were bringing up my garbage plus minus, and one of my comparables on their end was Michael Grosek. Okay, he played for the Buffalo Sabres. Guess who his goalie was?
The dominant.
Dominic Hasek.
Right.
Yeah.
So I told my guy, I said, look, why don't you tell this judge that he had the Dominator back there?
No kidding. He must have been
Anyway.
a plus. How was he a minus? Grosek wouldn't have been a minus.
No
With
one on that
Hasek?
team was.
Nobody. Not
They
possible.
were all eating pluses. Go ahead.
Absolutely. All right, so Auston Matthews, been a big part of the conversation this hour. Auston Matthews steps into the arbitrator's office. He is awarded a 45-goal season next year. Does he take it or leave it?
Of course he takes it, man. Of course he takes it. I wouldn't even care. Whatever it takes to have some playoff success, if this guy needs load management, I really don't care. He's done the individual things. He scored 60. He's won the best player in the league, a Hart Trophy. But the one thing that all of them haven't done is they haven't, like, you've never heard of all the hockey people that I talk to, they've never said, like they've said about Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, man, those guys are competitive guys, and they get it done in the clutch. That's never been said about this talented group of players in Toronto.
No.
So take the 45 and see if you can get it done in the playoffs, because that's the only thing left for you to do as far as any type of resume in the National Hockey League for a player of your status.
All right. Frankie, you taking that or leaving that?
I'm probably going to leave it. Last year's a 40-goal season, and it's an off year for him. This guy scored 60 goals. And with the way it sounds like he wants to structure these deals where he's doing the 3-year, the 4-year, the 5-year, he's going to have to compile multiple 50-goal seasons if he wants to be Auston Matthews' 5-year deal, $15 million down the road. If he's 40 goals, at some point it comes down to, okay, that 60-goal year was an anomaly. We're not paying you $16 million. We know where you are now. So I think he's got to be 50, going forward here. Like, he's got to be pushing up on 50.
Yeah, I like the idea of, taking 45 and banking load management games.
Yeah.
Right? Take 45 and only play 65 times. But I'm leaving
Whatever.
this as
I would
well.
ask him, what do you need to do to have success in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Is it like score 45 goals and the last 15 games of the season you turn into Kawhi Leonard? Go ahead. I don't care.
I'm not sure he knows the answer. I don't see how he could know the answer because they've done it 7 times and they haven't had any success.
I know. And hockey players, they're never going to say, yeah, you know what, the last 10 games, like John Tavares of all people should have had load management coming down the
Absolutely.
stretch. I think he had like one game in Tampa in the regular season where it was like take the night off. But he should have barely played coming down the stretch.
One game's doing
Barely.
nothing for you.
Nothing.
And you know the
Nothing.
way it is, like, how many times did a coach come up to you and ask you, you tired? You're like, this guy's playing head games with me. No, I'm not tired. Of course I'm not. Like, you're just wired that way. You just don't give up anything like that.
Well, I'm leaving the 45 because I think Matthews has ambitions of being known as one of the great goal scorers of all time, and you got to have multiple 50-goal seasons to do that. He's only done it once, right? He leaped right past 50 and did 60. He's done it on a prorated basis in the COVID years, but I think 50 is a bold number. He's got to keep pushing, man. He's got to keep pushing. I think he wants it. All right, moving on here. The Ottawa Senators walk into the room. They are offered a first-round sweep in the playoffs this year. Do they take it or leave it?
Like, they got swept?
Yes, but they made the playoffs, but they
Oh,
lose in 4.
God,
Do they take it or
that.
play it out and try to do better?
They take that and run to Kanata. They run to Kanata.
Run
with
to
that.
Kanata. Run
Yes.
with Kanata.
Because that's the only thing they got. Although I think it's a little bit much to say it's like playoffs or bust and everybody's gone or whatever. They're still young guys. It's very difficult to win. It's a very difficult decision or division, sorry. But they got some young studs on that team that you would think would take the next step, and they've apparently solidified their goaltending. That's going to be a massive question mark. You talk about guys under pressure. That goaltender out there, Korpisalo, he might be under the gun the most because if they don't get saves from that guy early on, remember last year the starts of their seasons were
mess.
terrible.
A mess.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he
sets
better
them
shut the
behind.
door.
Yeah.
But, they should be at a point where they're playing very meaningful games coming down the stretch.
Yeah. I say they take it, but it's not like they're leaving the arbitration room doing high fives and jumping jacks and cartwheels. I think they take it, they shake hands, they go for a nice classy dinner after and say that's a job well done. Because Ottawa should be close.
I didn't know we did dinner plan celebrations afterwards.
That's added. Bells and whistles of the arbitration.
Okay.
Yeah,
like
some red wine, all that stuff. But they're not doing cartwheels. And Ottawa should be close. Like they should be like on that bubble of making the playoffs. And you have to crawl before you can walk, before you can run. So get into the playoffs, see what's that's like. Oh, you talked about it's a young team. It's very important for those guys to taste what playoffs is like early on, and then maybe, you're getting past the first round. I feel like these were the conversations people were having about the Leafs in 2016, 2017.
Right, that was a long time ago. They didn't get swept, though. They lost in 6. I mean, that's the thing. They actually showed up against Washington. Getting dummied your first time is difficult, but I think you guys are on the right path here. Like, Ottawa has not been close to the playoffs. They have not been close. It's not like they just missed out by a point or two. Right? They were not close last year, and they've not been close for quite some time. Guaranteeing at least a playoff appearance means if you're the new owner, you got 2 home gates, that's some money. Pierre Dorian would love that. That means he's the GM, the architect of a playoff team, as opposed to an up-and-coming team. It changes the whole perception of your team if you can actually say, we made it. Right? We had an X beside our name. We made the playoffs. And getting dummied in the playoffs is not something you're ecstatic about, but at least you made it. All right, this one's so ridiculous. The Raptors walk into the arbitration office, and they are offered the first ever NBA Cup, but they missed the playoffs. Do they take it or leave it?
I am never discussing an NBA Cup. It's the dumbest idea. They can't get guys to care about a regular season, barely the playoffs. What do you think an NBA Cup is going to do? It's so dumb. I hate it. And I care less about it than the players do. It's the stupidest idea I've ever heard of. They don't care about the regular season.
That's why they're doing this. I think they're they're putting money on the line. They're putting in some.
Have you heard one player? Have you heard one substantial player come out and say this is going to be amazing?
Not one. And it's 100% mandatory for this to land in any capacity in North American sports. You have to have the players say we're really excited and actually sell it. It can't be reading off a cue card.
What are you going to do? Tell Fred VanVleet, who just signed for $143 million, that there's some cash incentives for this NBA Cup?
Right.
He'll be like,
go
chew on your hat.
Yeah, what do I care? You're right. The quarters, it's like $50,000, which is a lot of money, relatively speaking. For these guys, they get fined more than that if they don't shake hands after the game.
They got that change lying around their couch.
Do the Stars have to play in this? Like, is this like Summer League where, a bunch of your nobodies can play? Or, like, do the Stars have to play?
If they have Stars backing out of this NBA Cup, it'll be the biggest joke on
They will be
no
playing.
Kidding.
I guarantee you they'll be playing because I guarantee the owners are going to be involved. Silver sold the owners, and the owners are going to tell the coaches, I would guess, don't mess around. If some guy's injured, he's injured. But there will not be load management, and I'd be shocked.
That's Adam Silver type meetings with star players and owners saying, don't even think about not playing in this.
You have to play.
If a team wins this thing and misses the playoffs, that is the biggest indictment on this tournament because 10 teams have an opportunity to get in the playoffs. Like that would just crap all over the tournament.
Listen, I'm gonna take this though because maybe this is a new avenue for the Toronto sports scene. Maybe we own the NBA Cup. Right? Maybe the Raptors got their Larry O'Brien. It happened, and maybe that's a pipe dream now. But maybe this is where we specialize. Maybe this is where Masai can become a genius.
Don't even think about
find a way to own the NBA Cup.
Don't even think about bringing this to the NHL either. Guys don't want the All-Star game. Guys don't want this and that. They're not far away. Like, don't even think about it, NHL.
It'll happen if this works for the NBA and they make money. The NHL will do it.
No.
There's
the
already
NHL
too many preseason games. There's 8. Did you look at the schedule? There's 8.
What do you mean they have to
games.
do something? What do they have to do?
They never do anything. They have no play-in. They have no expanded playoff. They have no. There's no creativity in the NHL. It's just the same product year after year. Jerry won't change the playoff structure. He won't nothing. It's
because
just
all
the
these
same
owners
thing.
are just printing cash, and their team valuations
not printing
just
as much
keep
as
going
the NBA
up
are.
and up. And
I don't mind just having a traditional setup where it's like race to the playoffs, get in.
Sure.
You
I
want all
understand
this
that.
other monkey business and bells and whistles. It's just.
I'm not saying I need it. What I'm saying is they're the only team that does. They're the only league that appears to not be changing in any capacity. Baseball just put a pitch clock in. You know how tough that was for them? How old school and antiquated old Goose Gossage types were? And they
Okay,
said,
Brian,
"Screw
but you
guys.
got to
We're
give
doing
me.
something
You got to
different."
present a couple ideas that I think would make sense that are good. If you
I
give
will
me a
do that.
pitch clock,
I will do that. Give me a few weeks, and I will come in hot with a couple of hazy suggestions.
Every Wednesday leading up to
Done.
the show being back, I'll call it the O-Dog Power Hour. I'll come on Wednesdays, and you come up with some ideas.
The Hazy B suggestion box, and I'm just going to rifle things at you, and you have to answer how you feel about it.
Yes.
All right, let me move past the Blue Jay one here, Joe from the Bridge. I want to get to this one. This is the final one for arbitration. Your Detroit Lions are awarded a loss in the wild card game. Do they take it or leave it? The Lions.
I gotta think they take it, man.
Right. It's very similar to the Ottawa Senators, I guess.
I think the Lions, and watch yourself, because there's some players out there that I think are going to be fantastic this year.
Mm-hmm.
And Jerry Goff is one of them.
No. Jerry Goff can't play on the road. It's a bit of an
How
issue.
come I turn on the TV and I watch NFL Live and all the experts and pundits are saying Jerry Goff and the Lions are for real this year, and you're the one guy who says no? You and that fraud friend of yours, Luke Wilson, you better watch out because I've already assembled a super team.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, that's going to be revealed in the next couple of weeks.
There's a tease.
I do look forward to hearing what you've got because Luke and I are on the same page. We've been doing our homework all summer. We feel very good about where we're at.
Yeah. Really?
And I just can't trust the Lions, dude.
His team out west in Seattle, they're a team
They're
I have
good,
taking
man.
I have them taking a step back.
People love the Seahawks.
They got a ton of talent.
Everyone's all over.
They got a lot of talent. Geno's
Sleeper
the best.
team. Yeah.
They got a lot of
Geno.
talent.
No,
Geno.
their quarterback is going to lead them right into a ditch.
And comeback player of the year, I believe, last year. He had himself
already.
a night. Anyway, I'm taking this. The Lions, you got to take it. You made the playoffs. You're the Lions. Get
How about
serious.
a 5G spot right now? The Seahawks missed the playoffs.
I could see them missing the playoffs, though.
There you go.
I will
See
say
that?
that. But the NFC's weak. You know, I think the Niners are going to win the division. Rams aren't very good. I don't think Arizona's very good.
How about Dan Orlovsky coming out and saying Trey Lance, he's seen enough of him out there in San Francisco?
Well, I think Shanahan's seen enough of him. It sounds like Brock Purdy's his guy. He's healthy and he's going.
He is.
So Trey Lance is out.
Trey Lance, it sounds like, is out. And they trade
traded up.
first-round picks to
they
get this guy?
traded huge to move up to third overall, and they took him. And it was obviously the wrong decision, clearly.
And Brock Purdy makes like $6 this year. Like he
where they
makes
got
less
lucky.
than $1 million.
That makes it even more frustrating, though, that they backdoor into Brock Purdy, the last guy picked in the whole draft. You know, and watch this. He'll turn into a stud. It's like, of course. Like
And this is how crazy it is for San Fran. Like, people were talking about Sam Darnold being like, oh, that's a good pickup for them.
Right.
Like, he could probably carry the mail for a little bit. It's like...
It's because everyone loves Shanahan and the Niners.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't matter who
Imagine
you are. You
being
go there, it's all good.
Stud, like a stud high pick, and watching a guy like Kurt Warner packing shelves at Costco, wheeling in and taking your job.
Mm-hmm. It's happening. But Trey Lance, you know what he's doing? He's driving away in like a Cadillac because the guy's made a fortune because he went third overall. Like he's probably got $20 million more than Brock Purdy. But
Brock Purdy has a big year, then
Purdy's
he's counting
playing.
it up.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff, buddy. Let's get out and swing them soon. Got to play.
Next Wednesday, Power Hour.
Yep, Power Hour. I love it. Hazy B suggestion box. Bring your A game. There he is. The O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill. Scott Mitchell coming up from the park. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, Scott Mitchell coming up in about 15 minutes. Jays Phillies tonight. Thanks again to the O-Dog for jumping on. That was great.
That was awesome.
Catching up with the O-Dog for a while and a little arbitration. We had some more arbitration there that we can always continue. But
After dark?
yeah, a little arbitration after dark.
Let's do it.
I like it,
All right.
Like, I don't have one. I could come up with one about John Herdman, TFC. We haven't talked about that much this week, but reports out there that maybe TFC could go kicking tires. And I wonder how that would be received because, like, Herdman is so attached to the national team.
Yeah.
And obviously did such a great job getting them to the World Cup. And yet Toronto FC is going to come in probably, I would guess, pay him more, offer up more stability because we know what's going on with Canadian soccer. I wonder how Canadian soccer fans and Toronto FC fans are going to receive that.
Talk about a team
happens.
that needs just a complete overhaul, like top to bottom. That's a team that needs it. Like from the players on the pitch to whoever's calling the shots. I thought I read something, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like he reached out to them about the possibility of it, which is interesting.
Right, because I think Herdman's been very frustrated with what's going on in Canadian soccer. He's been outwardly frustrated. He's speaking on the record about how troublesome the buildup is towards this World Cup, which is going to happen quickly. And it's in our backyard, and it's like a great opportunity. We got to be primed, right? Like I think back to when we hosted the World Cup or the Olympics in 2010. In the buildup towards that, we were chasing golds, we were chasing medals, and we invested greatly in that. I would suggest there should be a similar level of priority placed on this.
No kidding. And if there's trouble at the top, what do you think the product on the field is going to be like?
Exactly.
There's just so much turmoil within the whole organization.
Right. And listen, it's not realistic to get to the levels of Brazil and Germany and Spain and England and Portugal. Like, that's not going to happen. They're not going to be Argentina in 2026 because they invest. But you can be better than a lot of the teams, and you can try to get out of your group.
Dude, they could be the United States. They could be Mexico. Like, there's no reason why they couldn't be that.
Absolutely. Final hour coming up. Scott Mitchell will join us. We'll tee up Game 2 of the series, Jays Philly, tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.